Hello, tonight we will once again drift into a peaceful and restful sleep together. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let yourself be carried away by the flow of this serene story. In a world where time stands still and memories come alive, everything is calm and soothing. If you're ready, let's begin. A quiet night in Middle-earth. In a tranquil corner of Middle-earth, hidden far from the chaos and sorrow of the Lord of the Rings, there lay a peaceful village named Elenvil. This serene haven, whose name meant starlight in Elvish, seemed untouched by the troubles of the world, offering its inhabitants a simple, joyful existence. As the day faded into night, the fields of Elenvil came alive under a blanket of stars, one by one lighting up the vast, transparent blue sky. A soft breeze whispered through the valleys, cooling the village and carrying with it the scents of wildflowers and earth. The warm amber glow of lanterns spilled through windows, casting dancing shadows onto cobblestone paths. After their evening meals, villagers often gathered in their gardens, exchanging stories in hushed tones. Their shared saying captured their way of life. Today was as calm as yesterday. That night in one of the cozy homes, a little girl named Eleniel tugged at her mother's sleeve as she nestled under her blanket. Her bright eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Mother, please tell me the story of the Valar again," she pleaded. L'Oreal, her mother, smiled, pressing a tender kiss to Eleniel's forehead. She gazed out the window where the stars shimmered like tiny diamonds. The gentle glow of the night seemed to encourage her words as she began. Long ago, when the very first night graced the world, Varda, one of the Valar, placed the stars in the sky. With each star she placed, she whispered a wish into the darkness. One of her wishes was this: anyone seeking peace under her starlight would hear the song of the wind. Eleniel's eyes grew wide, her voice dropping to a whisper. And then, what does the wind's song sound like? L'Oreal's voice softened, almost like a melody, as she recited, "The wind comes from ancient forests. It crosses beyond the seas. It whispers tales of every stone and leaf. Listen, and you'll find forgotten songs of poets." Eleniel closed her eyes, her imagination painting vivid pictures of the wind's journey. Her mother's stories had a way of making the night feel warmer, safer. Suddenly, the hoot of an owl echoed from the nearby forest, pulling Eleniel's attention back to the present. "Look," L'Oreal said, pointing toward the window. "Even the owl might be listening to the wind's song." A smile spread across Eleniel's face as she drifted into sleep. But before her dreams claimed her, she murmured one last question. "Mother, can we go to the forest tomorrow and hear the song again?" L'Oreal's reply was soft, her affection clear. "Of course, my love. The wind's song will always be there for those who know how to listen." The first rays of sunlight woke Eleniel the next morning. She leapt out of bed, her mother's story still vivid in her mind. Taking L'Oreal's hand, she eagerly led the way to the forest. The morning forest was alive with life. Sunlight danced through the canopy while a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Birds sang, and the nearby stream gurgled a cheerful tune. "Mother, I can hear the wind song," Eleniel exclaimed, her voice full of wonder. The wind wove through the forest like a symphony, each gust telling a tale more enchanting than the last. L'Oreal sat beside her daughter, smiling as she explained. "The wind's song is the oldest story in the world. It comes from the Valar, the trees, the rivers, even the mountains. If you listen carefully, you can be part of it." Eleniel closed her eyes and leaned against the roots of a sturdy tree. In her mind's eye, she saw Varda, gracefully placing stars in the heavens, her whispers filling the sky with their glow. The wind now seemed alive with celestial secrets, carrying whispers from the stars themselves. That day, Eleniel discovered something extraordinary. Listening to the wind's song was not just about remembering the stories, it was about living them. From that night onward, she carried a piece of the melody in her heart, a connection to the Valar's timeless wisdom. As night fell once more on Elenvil, the stars gleamed brightly overhead. The owls, the cicadas, and the gentle breeze combined their voices to create a new melody. Perhaps, if you ever find yourself in Elenvil on a quiet night, You might hear the wind's song and become part of the story too. The encounter with Mirathiel, the journey to protect the light of the Valar, brought the group to an ancient elven land, a place steeped in history but now shrouded in silence. Among the crumbling ruins, a peculiar feeling hung in the air. Though the structures seemed long abandoned, the wind whispered to Eleniel, carrying a message only she could hear. There is something here, something waiting. The group ventured into the ruins cautiously, their footsteps echoing against the cold stone. As they delved deeper, they found themselves in an old cave. There, sitting in serene meditation, was an elven figure cloaked in an aura of timeless wisdom. She opened her eyes, her gaze calm yet knowing. "I have been expecting you," the elf said softly, her voice carrying the weight of ages. "The wind told me you would come, carrying the message of the Valar." This was Mirathiel, a sage from the first age of the Valar, and a keeper of their ancient knowledge. She rose gracefully, her presence commanding respect yet offering warmth. Under her guidance, the group learned what they needed to know about the seal they sought to protect. Mirathiel spoke of an artifact, the Star Shield, a powerful relic from a time when the Valar themselves fought against the forces of darkness. This shield, she explained, was crafted with the light of the Valar and can harmonize with the seal, halting the Shadow Lord's power. It is hidden deep within the ancient dwarven tunnels. I will show you the way. Finding the Star Shield, guided by Mirathiel's wisdom, the group embarked on a new leg of their journey, traveling toward an ancient dwarven tunnel. As they approached its entrance, an oppressive darkness loomed before them, as though the shadows themselves sought to keep them out. Inside, the tunnel was an intimidating labyrinth, its walls adorned with weathered carvings of dwarven heroes and forgotten gods. The air was damp and thick, and every sound seemed amplified, echoing endlessly in the dark. Yet, the wind remained Eleniel's constant companion, whispering soft encouragement, guiding her steps. Moving cautiously, the group passed towering dwarven statues and hidden chambers filled with the remnants of a bygone age. Their awe was soon interrupted when they came face to face with a terrifying shadow creature. It loomed large, its eyes glowing with malice, and its body seemed to draw in the very light around it. "This is a curse of the Shadow Lord," Mirathiel warned. "It guards the shield." The ensuing battle tested them all. Kaelin, fearless as always, stood at the front, his blade flashing against the creature's dark form. Nimriel, from the shadows, loosed arrow after arrow, her precision unmatched. The fight was grueling, but together, the group triumphed. The shadow creature let out a final, echoing roar before dissolving into the darkness. Exhausted but resolute, they pressed on until they reached the heart of the tunnel, a grand chamber carved from stone and illuminated by an otherworldly glow. There, in the center of the room, stood the Star Shield, its surface shimmering with celestial light. It radiated the power of the Valar, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Eleniel approached the shield, her heart pounding. As her fingers brushed its surface, she felt a surge of warmth and strength, as though the Valar themselves were reassuring her. The group stood in awe, knowing they had taken a monumental step toward protecting Middle-earth from the Shadow Lord. But their journey was far from over. The traps of the Dark Poet. The group pressed on, their spirits lifted after securing the Star Shield. But their journey soon turned perilous when they were ambushed by one of the Shadow Lord's most enigmatic and dangerous followers, the Dark Poet. Cloaked in shadows, the Dark Poet wielded a hauntingly beautiful weapon, an enchanted song. As the melody filled the air, it seemed to seep into their very minds, dredging up their deepest fears and insecurities. Kaelin faltered as memories of his past failures overwhelmed him. Nimriel froze, consumed by doubts about her place in the group. Even Eldarion, steadfast as he was, struggled against the whispers of inadequacy that the song awakened. But amidst the chaos, Eleniel heard something else, a counter-melody carried by the wind. Drawing on its strength, she began to sing softly, her voice harmonizing with the wind's tune. The melody grew louder, breaking through the Dark Poet's spell and freeing the group from its grasp. The dark poet, however, was not so easily defeated. With a sinister smile, he turned his magic toward the star shield, attempting to corrupt its power. As shadows began to envelop the shield, Eldarion stepped forward, weaving protective spells to counter the poet's dark magic. Meanwhile, Eleniel, her courage undiminished, confronted the poet directly, her resolve bolstered by the wind's song. Together they thwarted the dark poet's plan. With a final defiant verse, the poet vanished into the darkness, leaving the group exhausted but victorious. The shield remained intact, a beacon of hope in their fight against the Shadow Lord. A new message from the Valar. With the star shield and the seal in their possession, the group set their sights on the sacred temple of the Valar. The journey was long, and tension hung in the air as they moved through lands steeped in shadow. One evening, as the group rested by a quiet stream, Eleniel felt a familiar presence. The wind stirred around her, carrying a message she instinctively knew came from the Valar. Darkness is on the verge of extinguishing the light of the stars. But together, you can preserve this light for eternity. Eleniel's connection to the wind deepened in that moment. The melody she had once heard as a whisper now resonated within her, filling her with both strength and trepidation. She realized the power of the Valar was awakening inside her, a power that brought immense responsibility and the looming shadow of danger, the trial of the temple. After days of travel, the group finally reached the sacred temple of the Valar. It was a breathtaking sight, bathed in starlight that seemed to reflect every star in the heavens. But entering the temple was no simple task. Each member of the group faced a trial, confronting the ghosts of their pasts. Eleniel too was tested. Memories of her mother, Loriel, and the stories she had told came flooding back. These tales had always been her guide, and now they gave her the strength to face her doubts. The stories reminded her of the Valar's unwavering light, and the wisdom hidden within the wind's song. At the heart of the temple, they discovered a key that harmonized perfectly with the seal. Eleniel, her voice steady and clear, sang the melody of the wind once more. The song resonated through the chamber, activating the key. The temple shone with radiant energy, sending a beam of light into the sky. For a moment, it felt as though the darkness of the Shadow Lord had been driven back. "This is only the beginning," Eldarion warned, his tone grave. "The Shadow Lord will not stop. He's still plotting to seize the seal. But now, the power of the Valar stands with us." As they stepped out of the temple, the group knew their journey was far from over. Their next challenge would be even greater, facing the Shadow Lord at the height of his power. Yet, united by the light of the Valar and the melody of the wind, they were ready to fight for the peace of Middle-earth, the rise of the Shadow Lord. As the group stepped out of the temple, an unsettling silence surrounded them. It wasn't the peaceful kind that soothed the soul, but rather a heavy, oppressive stillness that hinted at something looming on the horizon. The forest seemed to hold its breath, its usual symphony of rustling leaves and birdsongs replaced by an eerie quiet. The wind, once a gentle guide, picked up speed, its whispers growing urgent. Eleniel felt it deep in her chest. This was no ordinary breeze. The melody it carried had shifted, no longer recounting tales of old, but delivering a clear warning. Danger is near. Eldarion, ever steadfast and composed, tightened his grip on his sword. His expression was resolute. "The Shadow Lord is not idle. He's likely amassing a stronger army, and we are running out of time." Mirathiel, her usually calm demeanor darkened by worry, added, "The light of the Valar is our greatest weapon, but it must be used wisely. If we act too soon or too late, the balance could tip, and darkness may engulf all of Middle-earth." The group pressed on, each step heavier than the last, as the wind continued to sing its foreboding tune. The Shadow of Betrayal. As they journeyed deeper into the wilderness, the group came upon a familiar face, Thalion, an elven warrior they had once called an ally. His once proud posture was now marked by weariness, but his gaze burned with determination tinged with sorrow. "I've been searching for you," Thalion said, his voice carrying the weight of regret. He had been exiled long ago, banished for failing to protect the relics of the Valar. Now he stood before them, a figure caught between redemption and despair. His presence sparked hope among the group. Could he be seeking to atone for his past mistakes? Yet Eleniel couldn't ignore the unease creeping into her heart. The wind, her trusted guide, carried a warning just for her. Trust, but know your limits. As the days passed, Thalion earned a place among them, but Eleniel couldn't shake her suspicions. He seemed drawn to the star shield, lingering near it more than seemed natural. The artifact, imbued with the light of the Valar, was both a beacon of hope and a source of great power, power that could tempt even the noblest of hearts. One quiet night, as the group rested under the canopy of stars, Eleniel saw Thalion whispering to the shield. Her breath caught. Steeling herself, she followed him, moving silently through the shadows. What she discovered chilled her to the core. Thalion had aligned himself with the Shadow Lord. Eleniel confronted him, her voice trembling with both anger and sadness. "Why, Thalion? The light of the Valar is within you. Why betray it?" Thalion's face twisted in a mixture of shame and defiance. "You don't understand," he muttered, before fleeing into the night. Before the group could regroup, Thalion cast a powerful illusion over the forest, its magic designed to disorient and scatter them. The familiar paths they had traveled turned into a maze, and one by one the group was separated. Eleniel, however, refused to be lost. Closing her eyes, she focused on the wind's melody. Its song was her guide, a thread of light cutting through the dark web of confusion. Though the others were lost in the depths of the forest, she pressed forward, determined to find the truth, and her friends, once more. Separation and confrontation with darkness. Eleniel wandered alone through the forest, her only guide the familiar melody of the wind, a melody that carried the essence of the Valar. The silence around her was heavy, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. Yet in this solitude, the shadows of her own mind began to creep in. Doubts she had buried resurfaced, whispering accusations of past failures and lingering fears. The forest seemed alive with her anxieties, each step an unspoken confrontation with herself. In her darkest moment, she remembered her mother's comforting words. "If you listen to the song of the wind, you'll feel that you're never truly alone." She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and let the wind's melody fill her mind. The song was no longer just a sound. It was a lifeline, steadying her heart and fortifying her spirit. Elsewhere in the forest, her companions fought their own battles. Eldarion worked tirelessly to unravel the illusion that had scattered them, his knowledge of ancient magic his only weapon. Mirathiel, meanwhile, sat in quiet reflection, her thoughts consumed by Thalion's betrayal. "He may have fallen into darkness," she murmured, "but surely there is still a spark of light within him." The army of the Shadow Lord. After what felt like an eternity, the group reunited, their relief palpable. Their moment of respite was interrupted by the arrival of a messenger owl, its feathers shimmering faintly as though touched by starlight. It carried a scroll, a message from the Valar. "The Shadow Lord is gathering his army at the Black Summit. You must reach it before he seizes the seal." The name alone sent a chill through the group. The Black Summit was infamous, one of the darkest and most dangerous places in Middle-earth. Legends spoke of it as a battlefield of the Valar, a place where the forces of light and shadow had once clashed. The ground was said to still hum with the remnants of those ancient powers, and from there, many of the world's dark forces had emerged. The group's journey to the Black Summit required them to pass through a hidden gateway. This gateway, protected by one of the Valar's seals, could only be opened by unraveling the melody of the wind. All eyes turned to Eleniel. Summoning her focus, Eleniel listened. The wind's melody was faint at first, but as she concentrated, it grew clearer, revealing its secrets. Following its guidance, she deciphered the key to the gateway, and with a soft hum, the passage opened. On the other side, the group found themselves standing amidst the ruins of an ancient battlefield. The air felt thick, and an eerie stillness surrounded them. As they ventured further, they encountered their first glimpse of the Shadow Lord's army. a battalion of dark warriors clad in enchanted armor. Their presence was oppressive, and their glowing eyes locked onto the group with malevolent intent. There was no choice but to fight. Eldarion, calm and composed, quickly formulated a plan to ensure everyone's safety. "Stay together. Protect each other. We fight as one," he commanded. Mirathiel, drawing on her deep knowledge of the Valar's wisdom, cast spells to disarm and disorient their foes. Cailan fought fiercely at the front, his bravery inspiring those around him, while Nimriel's precision from the shadows picked off the most dangerous threats. The battle was grueling, not just physically but emotionally, testing the group's resolve and unity. Despite the chaos, they worked as one, each member relying on the others. The wind, ever faithful, seemed to sing encouragement, its melody weaving through their movements. When the last warrior fell, the group stood amidst the wreckage, bruised but unbroken. The journey ahead was far from over, and the black summit loomed ominously in the distance. Yet, in that moment, they knew they were stronger together, their bond forged in the fires of battle and the melodies of the wind. The final confrontation with darkness. The group reached the peak of the black summit, their breath stolen by the sight before them. In the center of the desolate expanse, the Shadow Lord stood, his dark form commanding the space like a living void. Before him, a colossal seal hovered in the air, pulsating with a sinister energy. This seal, they realized, was designed to absorb all the light of Middle-earth, plunging the world into eternal darkness. Beside the Shadow Lord stood Thalion, clutching the star shield. His posture was rigid, his face a mask of inner turmoil. It was clear, the Shadow Lord was twisting his mind, bending his will to serve the darkness. Eleniel stepped forward, her heart pounding but her resolve firm. "Thalion," she called, her voice carrying over the roar of the unnatural winds. "This isn't who you are. I know the light of the Valar is still within you, I can feel it. Darkness doesn't control you. You are stronger than this." For a moment, Thalion hesitated. His eyes, clouded by shadow, flickered with something else. Doubt, perhaps even hope. The Shadow Lord's presence loomed, pressing harder on Thalion's mind, but Eleniel's words, carried by the song of the wind, cut through the darkness. With a sudden, desperate clarity, Thalion acted. He turned on the Shadow Lord, ripping the star shield from his grasp. Breathing heavily, he extended it to Eleniel. "We can do this," he said, his voice steady, and his eyes gleaming with a renewed light. Eleniel took the shield, feeling the energy of the Valar flow through her. Raising it high, she unleashed its power. A blinding light erupted from the shield, cutting through the darkness and shattering the colossal seal. The Shadow Lord let out a roar of fury as his plans unraveled before him. But even as his form began to retreat into the shadows, he issued a chilling warning. "This is not the end. Darkness will always return." With that he vanished, leaving the group standing amidst the remnants of his chaos, battered but victorious. Toward the future. The journey back from the Black Summit was bittersweet. The Shadow Lord had been defeated, and the light of Middle-earth was safe, for now. But the victory had come at a cost. Thalion, his guilt over past actions still heavy on his heart, made a decision. "I have much to atone for," he said, his voice filled with quiet determination. "I will dedicate the rest of my life to protecting the light." With a solemn farewell, he parted ways with the group, setting off on a personal journey of redemption. Eleniel, reflecting on all they had endured, felt a profound connection to the Valar. The song of the wind, once a distant melody, now lived within her, a constant reminder of her purpose and strength. She thought of her mother's stories, of the light and courage they had inspired, and knew she carried those lessons in her heart. Middle-earth stood at the brink of a new chapter. The Shadow Lord's words lingered in the back of their minds. Darkness might return, but so would the light. Eleniel and her companions vowed to remain vigilant, guardians of the Valar's light, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And as they walked under the open sky, the wind carried their story, whispering it across Middle-earth. It would live on, in songs, in legends, and in the hearts of those who listened.